Geno Smith is the leader of this ball club. And Curtis, I'll never forget when I saw the details of his contract a couple years back, year and a half back, something like that. I was at the first outdoor airport I've ever been to in Palm Springs. Didn't know those existed.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I've never been there, but I've heard it's just a trip being like your waiting area is outside.
It's like a mall that's outside. It was weird. I got off the plane. I go, this is it. But as soon as I get off the plane and the culture shock wears off of being at an outdoor airport, my phone starts buzzing and people are saying, oh my God, we paid how much for Geno? And I go, yeah, I kind of see what you guys are thinking, right? He only had one good year. He's trying to prove himself. But a year and a half later, I'm looking at this deal and I go, they're good. The Hawks made a heck of a deal by signing Geno. You brought this up in the sports bit before the show, and you said, Bob, man, CBS has some rankings going on, man. Fill us in on what you saw and read, and what do you think about this whole situation?
So there have been a few quarterback rankings. It's that time of year where probably the most quiet portion of the NFL calendar. We're in May. OTAs are going on. So we're seeing all sorts of rankings, quarterback rankings, player rankings. I'm sure the NFL Top 100 list comes out soon. But last week we saw CBS Sports with their quarterback power rankings had Geno Smith at number 18. And people are kind of like, really? That low? Today, Pro Football Focus, Trevor Sikkema, who we've had on the show a few times leading up to the draft, he has Geno ranked number 18 among starting quarterbacks. Geno's current salary has him as the 16th highest paid quarterback on an average annual value basis. So his contract bump lines up almost exactly where a lot of these NFL experts have him pegged as the 18th best starting quarterback in the NFL, 16th highest salary. Now, Bleacher Report, Brad Gagnon, who I'm not completely familiar with his work. He had a column this week talking about the most overpaid and underpaid quarterbacks in the NFL, kind of looking at, Jared Goff's new deal. Where does that stand in terms of overpay or right in line with his value? His three most overpaid quarterbacks he listed were, or among the group of overpaid quarterbacks, I should say. He had quite a few of them, but he had Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Gardner Minshew, and Minshew's only making $12.5 million. Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, I think we can agree with, and then another name on there was Geno Smith, and he had Geno Smith's average annual value $25 million, and then he said, I don't know where he got this number from. I think maybe it's just a personal feeling. He asked what he's really worth. He said about $12 million. He said the 33-year-old has put up one good season out of 10, and it wasn't in 2023. He's a top-end backup at best. I think last year was a good season for Geno.
Yeah.
I think the production that he gave the Seahawks in the 15 of 17 games played is production that a lot of teams would be happy with. And I think the teams that wouldn't be happy with it are the teams that have like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, all these, name brand quarterbacks that we're all very familiar with, household name quarterbacks. I think calling Geno Smith overpaid is just simply missing the mark. There's no chance you can call him overpaid, especially considering where his contract falls in line with those of the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL and where his production has been the last two seasons.
I agree with you 100%. What I did when looking at this, prepping for this conversation, I should say, I just looked at the quarterbacks who are getting the big bucks and say, okay, where does he compare? In my opinion, my opinion of Geno might be different than yours, but where does he compare when it comes to these other quarterbacks? When it comes to average salary, annual salary, Joe Burrow's at the top right now getting $55 million. Not touching Joe Burrow. Not going to say Geno is Joe Burrow.
No.
The number 2 quarterback is Jared Goff getting $53 million a year. I can legitimately say Geno's throwing hands with Jared Goff. He's throwing hands with him. Now, Jared Goff has had the benefit of working with Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator over there, who was up for a bunch of head coaching jobs, decided to stay with the Lions. He does have a young running back in Gibbs. You got a Monroe St. Brown. You got Laporta. He's got some weapons, and they got that new car smell over there. I look at Jared Goff and what he did with the Lions and say, if Geno was on that team, would they accomplish the same things? Nothing's for sure. Nothing's guaranteed, but I think it'd be comparable. So I look at Jared Goff, how many years he's been in the league. He's 29 years old. Geno has him by like 3 or 4 years. And I say, look, Jared Goff is comparable to Geno Smith, yet Geno Smith is getting paid half of what Jared Goff is getting paid. Timing and performance is everything. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl with the Rams. He was a #1 pick. His resume is just greater than Geno, so I understand it in the timing. He should get paid that much. I'm not hating on that at all, but I'm just comparing. And then I got to go all the way down because I don't think Geno's messing with Herbert. Ain't messing with Lamar. Jalen Hurts, no. Kyler Murray, no. Deshaun Watson, we shall see. The last time we saw him play at a high level, it felt like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, of course not. Kirk Cousins, no. Josh Allen, no. Dak, no. It gets interesting when you start hovering around 11. We look at Daniel Jones, who's getting $40 million a year. When you look at Derek Carr, who's getting $37 million a year. Look at Baker Mayfield, who's getting $33 million a year. I think Geno being the 17th or 18th highest paid quarterback, it's fitting, but I also think that he could put together a year where he puts up 30 touchdowns and 10 or less interceptions and catapults himself to the conversation to where he should be getting paid around $35, $40 million a year. Right now it's $25 million a year. So I think it's important that you look at Geno the same way you do a younger quarterback who's trying to establish himself. You got to win right now.
Yeah.
You win right now with Geno. Geno puts up these big numbers. He's going to want more money. So you do it under this contract to where you can still go get some weapons if need be after this year and make a push to become a better team offensively and defensively. This is why there's a sense of urgency here in Seattle, I feel like, because you have a veteran quarterback for the low. You have a change in offense and defense. You have some weapons around. Guys have been paid for the most part. DK is going to want more money eventually. Jason's going to want more. Kenneth Walker's going to want more. You treat Geno like a young quarterback and take advantage of this window because I think he's got 5-6 more years in this league. And if he balls out, he's going to rightfully want more money.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about just kind of have the Seahawks taken advantage fully of the opportunity they've been given here with a quarterback that is not making top of the league kind of money the way that Russell Wilson was here. I mean, I'm looking at percentage of cap taken up by each of these quarterbacks. Of all the quarterbacks that have gotten paid more money than Geno, like Geno has the lowest percentage taken up of the salary cap of anybody that has gotten a pretty significant contract in terms of $20+ million. In fact, Geno's kind of the line in the sand because after him, it drops down to Jordan Love, who right now is making $13.5 million in terms of average annual value. That's the next highest. So Geno basically doubles Jordan Love's salary. But Geno's only making 11% of the Seahawks salary cap in 2024. Like, to say that Geno is overpaid when making that little amount in terms of, established starting quarterback in the NFL is completely missing the mark. I think that's just kind of like, oh, you could do better than Geno Smith. And it's like, at that price point, no, you can't.